And welcome, it's Matt Finnegan here. You're watching another Soccer Insight betting preview. We're looking at the Super Sunday clash between Chelsea and Man City, one that I feel that could offer lots of opportunities both from a betting, pre-game, in-play and also trading perspective. It's where the markets and what I class as very kind. Now if you want a more in-depth look at the markets, then do check out my market analysis that I release on betting-insight.com. That's a look a lot closer to the actual game than when this video preview is recorded, because this is recorded an early look at the market. So everything is subject to change what you may see through this preview, but if you want that in depth, then please do check out the website, not only for this game but for lots of games that have been played and other sports over the weekend. So let's get straight into this game and look at the OP index prices. Now these are brought to you by my stats database, Predictor.com, and that's got tissue prices of all the major leagues that are being played this weekend. So do check that out as well. So our index price 2.7 Chelsea, Man City 2.9, and a draw around 3.55. That's the index price, 5-2 in old money there. And looking at the form, you will see that both teams are in very similar form. 10 points out of the last 15 available and 2 wins on the bounce. So something's going to have to give, and the market is most likely going to reflect Jose Mourinho's unbeaten record. I think it stands at 64 games now. But let's have a look at the head-to-head over the last 7 seasons, and you can see that Chelsea here, 5 wins, 1 draw and just 1 defeat against Man City. So they have had the lion's share of victories in this fixture over the last 7 seasons, but both teams are going to be equally matched in this, and I think it's an absolutely fascinating game, and one that we're going to look at the options if you fancy either team to win, but one it probably lends itself to get involved in where you don't have to predict the winner. That's where I'll certainly be looking, but I'm going to cover the options in a minute if you fancy either team to win. Let's have a look at the early prices on the exchanges. Now these are all subject to change. You can just see that's just 13,000 matched on the exchange. You see the Chelsea slightly less than 6-4 at 2.44. Man City are the value against our index price at 3.3, and the draw roughly around that 5-2, just slightly less than the index price here. So you can just see that. But what I will say about these prices, they are subject to change. If anything, Man City might be the team to sort of come in, but I think it really lends itself to keeping an eye on this as it draws towards the weekend. But you can see that Man City are value, and if anything they will actually sort of come in. Chelsea could move out, and that would be starting to move in line with our index sort of prices. But let's have a look at the options if you feel that Chelsea are going to win this game. Well, basically they're no value to win the game against our index price, our ratings, and that's our opinion at the end of the day, and that's all it is. It is an opinion, but they're no value, and that's going to make it difficult to find some options if you feel Chelsea are going to win the game. My hunch feeling is that they could drift, they could move out towards the index price. So if you do fancy Chelsea, you might want to sit on your hands and play your card really late on this and see if they drift. It's more likely that they're going to drift than actually sort of come in price here. So there's just something to think about. One option, this is very speculative, a speculative bet, is backing Chelsea to win the second half. Okay, now you can do this as a pre-game bet, and I'm going to explain you can do it as an in-play bet as well, and the likely odds that you're going to achieve if you want to sort of get involved as an in-play bet as well. But you're roughly going to get, I feel, about 15 to 8, 2.88, 2.9 with the bookmakers, backing Chelsea to win the second half. Anything can happen in the first half. That doesn't matter. The score in the actual game is irrelevant. It's in theory it's set to 0-0 at half time, and it's Chelsea to win the second half. Now if they say the game is 0-0 at half time, the chances are Chelsea is going to be above 2-1 to actually sort of win the game going into that second half. So again, you can play this as an in-play strategy as well. So that's just something to think about where you're playing the cards, because Chelsea are no value, so you may want to take a little bit of advantage of the price decay as the match time decays, as it gets closer towards the end. If Chelsea have not taken the lead after 30-40 minutes, they're going to be a bigger price than the starting price. So you don't always have to play your cards. You should bear that in mind. If you do, then the obvious choice here is the winning margin option. Okay, and Dutching 1 or 2 goals, that's going to bring it to just over 13-8. It's going to bring it to about 262, 264, something like that, at the best prices on offer with the bookmakers. And that's close enough to our index price to warrant that. The thought process there: can you see Man City if they're going to lose the game by 3 or more goals? I don't think they will if Chelsea are going to win. So if you do fancy a home victory here, then certainly wouldn't put you off putting that in your notebooks to get involved with the winning margins. Well, let's have a look at the flip side. If you fancy Man City to get a result or go on and win the game, well, we've already established that the value, and if you're watching this prior to the weekend, say on a Friday or early Saturday morning, if you're watching this video, it might be worth taking that price, okay, because it's more likely, in my opinion, that it's going to move in rather than move out. So if you do fancy a City win, you might need to snap up a little bit of value that's on offer there. But other options that you have: draw no bet, okay, and you should be able to get, with the prices that are seen around, and bear in mind this is quite an early look at the markets, you should be able to get a 5-4 on Man City draw no bet. Now that's not bad considering what price Chelsea are. If you fancy, say, City to win, but you think, oh, they're not going to lose, you've got that insurance that you'll get your money back if they get a result. Okay, 5-4 is still a decent price there. And one speculative bet that you could have on City, and it's a similar one to the Chelsea, but it's either half, and the price that you're getting on City, you should be able to obtain about even money that they win either half. It doesn't matter any half, and it could be one of those games where either side cancel each other out, scoring either half, and then they both do that. Chelsea are going to be slightly shorter, but that's not a bad bet, an even money bet that Man City win either half. And at the end of the day, it could be very, very tight, and it goal a few minutes before half time, and you collect it. It doesn't matter what the result is, but even if they're losing the game, they could still, they could be losing 2-0 at half time, and City get a goal in the second half, and the game finishes 2-1. They've won either half. So it's a bit of speculative bet. Looking at that, but like I said already, I feel that this lends itself to markets where you don't have to predict a winner, or even getting involved with the in-play markets. We'll just have a quick look through the winning margins now, and you'll see that basically the Dutching option with Man City, 1 or 2 goals, Chelsea are not going to lose by 3, I wouldn't have thought, at home. That's sort of taken out the equation, because you're going to get that sort of price on the exchanges. And if you want to sort of ramp it up, you could have the 4-1 on offer with quite a few firms that City win by a 1-goal margin, and that's the likely sort of victory, really, probably with either of these teams. If they're going to sort of win the game, it's more likely to be a 1-goal margin. But with Chelsea, you can ramp their price up a little bit and get like I say, around that 13-8. So it's one of those things with the Dutching, and I put this in these video tutorials mainly to sort of highlight opportunities with the short price favourites. And we'll cover that in other video previews. Where the teams are like trading at 1.33, 1.25, it's a great way of ramping that by eliminating some of the winning outcomes from the equation. But with this, you've got the value in Man City, so you don't need to go there. Chelsea, you could consider that. Let's have a look at the unders and overs, and it's quite surprising really that the prices are very, very similar to our index prices. It's only really the under 1.5 goals where there's a little bit of value, and there's not that much there anyway. So they're pretty much on par. So you've got lots of sort of choices there. As I always say in these previews, if you fancy overs, watch the game a little bit before playing your cards. The markets are moving in your favour. If you fancy unders, then I certainly wouldn't put you off taking any of the prices that are on offer, the best prices on the book. But of course these are subject to change, but you know, you're going to get a sort of fair crack. And what that means is, in a game across all the markets, the prices are going to be pretty fair for which way you feel the game's going to go, whether lots of goals or very, very few goals. So like I said, I feel this is a difficult game to call the winner, and the beauty is you don't have to do that to profit from the game. So I think the best angles probably lie away from trying to predict a winner and looking at some of the actual goals markets, and there's lots of them, not just the unders and overs, that I cover in this video. Finally, let's have a look at some of the in-play stats, and matches these profile of these teams. At 25 minutes there is a 43.66% chance of a goal before half time, so you know, chances are it's roughly around about that time it's going to be about even money. You'd want slightly more than that on over 0.5 goals in the first half goals market at that particular sort of time. So you know, if it's very, very tight, you're getting a bit of value actually sort of backing the 0-0 at half time and sort of letting that run. So that's something that you can sort of consider, that the value is likely to be on actually no goals actually happening. Looking at the middle part of the game, that 25 to 70 minutes, all games, this is including games where there's been a goal before 25 minutes, there's a 75% chance of a goal being scored within that sort of period. Okay, so that's 3 and 4 games, the profile of two Class 1 teams coming together, and these teams, you know, that there's going to be a goal in that period. You know, if that happens, it can be the catalyst to open up the games, and there's a 4 in 5 chance, 4 games in 5, an 81% chance that another goal will actually happen. So you need to bear that in mind in your thought processes. You know, if there is a goal, you know, that's the likelihood that there is going to be another goal, and that will help, you know, with certain decisions that you may want to make you know, during the match with the in-play markets. And finally, there's a 67.5% chance the last goal of the match coming after 65 minutes, roughly just slightly less than 1 to 2 at 1.48. If it's a really open game, the market might be around about that. Certainly if say Man City are leading say 2-1 and Chelsea are chasing the game, it's going to be, you know, quite short. But if the game is 0-0, then it's going to be a lot higher than that. So it will all depend on what the game is at that particular time. So that's it from me. I hope you found this video tutorial useful. Check out all our video tutorials on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/bettinginsight, and you know, give us a subscribe, a thumbs up. We do plan very, very soon to do some live broadcasts on the weekend where we can have a look at some of the markets you know, closer to the game. So you know, do check that out. That's coming very, very soon. But thanks for watching, and bye for now.